Yesterday is one of those days that there's a lot of hype about, but when we actually look into it, it raises some interesting questions. What are we actually celebrating on Lag BaOmer? So the first part of the Omer, the days between Passover and Shavuot, are days of mourning and sadness, and that's why we don't have weddings, we don't have haircuts, we don't have instrumental music. The 33rd day of the Omer, Lag BaOmer, is a day of happiness. One of the reasons given is that the reason that the first 32 days are days of mourning is because Rabbi Akiva, who's actually a fascinating personality, so much to learn from him and his life. So he at the age of 40 had an epiphany. He was a shepherd. He was someone who grew up very, very ignorant of Judaism and of Torah, knew nothing, right? Didn't even know how to read the Hebrew alphabet. And he's a shepherd, and he's looking after his sheep, and he walked past a rock. And he looked at that rock, and he saw that there was a hole inside the rock. And he stopped, and he thought, and he said, what's going on here? And he realized what it was that there was a little drop of water on top of the rock. And over the years, it had consistently dropped down on this rock and had eroded a hole into the rock. Rabbi Akiva looked at it, and he had an aha moment. And he said, if water, which is soft, can make an impact on a rock which is hard, then surely the Torah, which is compared to water, can have an impact on my heart. And he did something with that epiphany. He said, you know what? I am actually going to go and learn Torah. And he started, he was 40 years old, and he started with the very little kids that are learning the Hebrew alphabet. And he worked his way up. He learned the alphabet. He started to learn the basics, and he built himself up so much that after 24 years, he had built up an academy of 24,000 students from nothing. The tragedy was that every single one of those 24,000 students died between the days of Pesach and Lag BaOmer. Now, most people at that point would just say, I tried. I gave it my all. I gave it way more than my all, and they would just give up. But not Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva said, I'm going to keep trying. And he took 5 students and he started teaching them Torah. And those 5 students became leaders. They were the ones that taught the Torah to the next generation. And in fact, up to nowadays, we learn their teachings in the Talmud. It's an amazing story. But the question I really want to ask is, and explore, is, what did Rabbi Akiva see at that rock that enabled him to not only turn his life around at 40 and conquer the fear and conquer everything to become this amazing Torah giant, but that gave him the resilience to keep going even when his entire life's work came tumbling down and was destroyed before his very eyes. Perhaps what Rabbi Akiva saw at that rock is this. If let's put ourselves in the mindset of a drop of water, right? A drop of water drops down on a rock and it thinks to itself, I don't have any impact at all. To us, it looks like the drop of water has no impact whatsoever. But what we know is that the consistency of the drop of water dripping on the rock every single day for years and years and years is able to make such an impact that it can make a hole in a rock. And I think perhaps this is what Rabbi Akiva saw. Rabbi Akiva saw that our job in this world is to put in the effort. And we know that we have to try. But we get very focused on the results. And Rabbi Akiva understood when he saw that water dripping on the rock is that it's not about the results, it's about the effort. Because sometimes you can't see those results, right? Sometimes we put in the effort and we put in the effort and we put in the effort and we don't see the results. We're just like that drop of water that's dropping on the rock and the rock appears unchanged. But what Rabbi Akiva understood is that the change is happening even though we can't see it with our eyes. And that's why perhaps when his 24,000 students died, instead of giving up and saying, I tried, I did my bit, he was able to say, I'm still alive. My job is to still keep on putting the effort. And he did eventually see the results from that consistent effort that he put into his life, when those 5 students that he taught became the leaders of the next generation and were the ones that passed on Torah to the next generation. Let's try and bring this back to our life, and I want to share with you a story that I heard from a friend of mine, very inspirational story. She shared with me that when she was 20 weeks pregnant with her baby, they went for the 20-week scan, and the technician could tell that there was something not quite right with the heart. And obviously it's a terrifying moment to be with, to be at the scan and to find out that there's something not right with your baby's heart. This happened on a Thursday, and they could only get an in-depth scan on the Tuesday. So we can only imagine what sort of weekend they went through, knowing that there was something very wrong, seriously wrong with their baby's heart, but not knowing what the outcome was going to be. And she shared with me that on the Tuesday they went for the in-depth scan, and the doctors could see what the problem was, and they sat them down afterwards and they shared with them what their plan of action was. That, please God, after the baby was born, they would operate on the baby, and hopefully with success they would be able to fix the baby's heart problems. And she said that, because the contrast of what they went through that weekend and hearing that there was actually a way that the doctors could fix it lifted their spirits so much. So she said, I told her families, her friends, but I asked her, because she's an extremely positive person. The way she handles it is just so amazing. So I asked her, what gave you the resilience to deal with this that you were given? And she shared with me a moment. She says a day or so after they had told everyone, she had a moment and she started to cry. Obviously it hit her, and she said to her husband, she says, why? Is it something that I did wrong? Did I speak negatively about someone? Why is this happening? And her husband stopped her and said, listen, don't even go there, right? Because we don't know. We don't know why these things happen. But he says, but now we have a choice. And the choice is, do we sit and cry and wonder why? Or do we become that family that people say, look what that family was given and look how amazing they are? And knowing her, I can tell you that they chose to be that family that were given this and became this amazing family that everyone knows that they're strong and they're resilient. And thank God right now their baby's healthy. He should be healthy for many years. But it was incredible to hear that they were faced with a challenge and they understood that resilience is making that choice, right? Is saying that we don't always know why, right? And we can't always see the result of our efforts. But understanding that our job is to keep on putting the effort in. regardless of whether we see the impact of that effort or not. But at the same time, knowing that even if we don't see the impact of that effort, every single bit of effort is making an impact. Just like every drop of water is making an impact and will eventually be able to see the result of those efforts. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions you'd like me to tackle in future episodes, please let me know.